already talked about how to write an introduction. Now we're going to talk about how to write a conclusion, okay? These are things, tips, and tools that will help you through all of your academic career and maybe a little bit after that. So I will give you like different tools, tips, and advice in order to get your conclusions more attractive and appealing and really giving that closure to the paper that you're writing. Okay, so the conclusion is the last paragraph of any essay, and it helps the reader see why your essay should matter to them, okay? We're going to be discussing different incredible ideas to get conclusive paragraphs, okay? So in a conclusion paragraph, you do a summary of everything that you've written in your essay, and to write a good conclusion, you need to think about your main point, your main statement, your main argument, the whole idea of your essay, okay? So you have already wrote this fabulous introduction because you have the tools, the tips, and the advices to do it. So we cannot go wrong with the conclusion. The conclusion has to be as amazing as the introduction was. So this is your last chance to persuade the reader to go on board with your point of view, okay? To impress the reader. The introduction is the first impression that you make on the reader. The conclusion is that closure to make sure they're on board with you and your point of view. To that last chance to impress the reader, okay? To say, wow, this essay is important to my life because of this, okay? So the end of an essay should be a convincing paragraph that gives closure to all the questions that might happen during the writing of the essay, okay? Giving closure to all possibilities in the topic, okay? And it should close without discussion, okay? Here, there cannot be, you cannot put, in the conclusion, you cannot put information that you cannot explain. I mean, for example, your whole essay is about World War II. In your conclusion, there cannot be a conspiracy theory about the World War II that you're not going to be able to close, okay? You can close with a significant sentence of reflection, but you cannot close with information that you have no way to explain. So these are some advices of things that you need to know, because as the introduction, there is no certain formula on how to write a conclusion. So these are like advices and things that you should keep in mind when writing your conclusion, okay? So like I said, the conclusion provides the closure and drives the main points of your essay one last time. It's the last chance that you have to impress and give readers an understanding of why this paper is important to them, okay? In other words, your essay conclusion should answer the question, so what? We talked about this in previous classes, in the essay class and in the thesis class. You need to answer this question for the reader, okay? So you need to give the audience something to think about after they finish reading your essay. Like I said, a reflective sentence. The conclusion should complete your paper, okay? It should end it on a positive note, okay? The conclusion, it's not introducing new ideas. I just said this a couple of seconds before. In the conclusions, you cannot introduce new ideas. It's a summary of your writing, okay? So the goal here is to restate your thesis, your statement, your argument, summarize the entire essay, and leave readers with a final impression, okay? There are some key aspects that you need to remember. A strong essay conclusion doesn't rewrite your thesis from the introduction, okay? A strong essay conclusion consists of 3 sentences minimum. It concludes thought. It doesn't present new ideas. You need to keep that in mind, okay? I'm going to give you a little outline of how the conclusion paragraph should look. So the number of sentences in your conclusion will depend on how many paragraphs or statements actually you have in your essay. So the conclusion paragraph should go something like this. A conclusion starter, that is a sentence restating the thesis on your essay. And if you wonder how to start a conclusion, rephrase your thesis statement and write it first, okay? So for example, we were talking about World War II. This is an example that I put you in a previous video for your thesis. There you have a couple of examples of how to restate your thesis. The same thing you can do for your conclusion. Your first sentence could be a restatement of your thesis, a new way to explain your thesis, okay? It's a summary of the main parts of your essay, so you will have 2 or 3 sentences wrapping out the arguments of your essay, okay? Concluding sentence. It's the final sentence of your essay, providing a sense of closure and connecting readers back to the introduction. The paper should be a little bit cyclic because, like I said, you need to close them. It shouldn't leave any loose ends at the end. So in the conclusion, the idea is to connect the reader back to the introduction in order to make sure that they have all the answers they need about the argument that you just present. Okay, here you have a little of example of how you can set up these sentences. So for example, the first sentence that is restate the thesis. So here you have the example. The thesis is dogs are better pets than cats. So to rephrase that, you can say dogs make the best pets in the world, okay? And in the second to the fourth sentence, you can review your arguments about these theses, okay? Summarize all of the arguments that you presented about this statement. Okay, here you have another example. Dogs are cleaner, better at showing affection, and ultimately easier to train. Okay, so here you connect back to the essay hook and relate your closing statement to the opening one. Okay, you're connecting what you started on your essay with what you're closing in your essay. Okay. Here, remember that you are trying to impress the reader, so maybe you could use a little bit more of complicated words. You have another example. Change your life for the better. Go get a dog. See, here you have, like, we're talking about how dogs are better pets than the cats, but we're putting it in a different way, okay? So you're combining all the sentences, to improve and expand your essay conclusion. So with these examples, take a look of the paragraph that we can do. There is no doubt that dogs make the best pets in the world. They provide a cleaner environment for your home, are not afraid to show their feelings, and can be trained to do a variety of tricks, and jobs. Every second that goes by, you're missing out on happiness. Go get out of your chair and make a positive difference in your life. Go get a dog. So here we connect all the sentences that we have as an example to create an amazing conclusion paragraph for a simple thesis like dogs are better pets than cats. This is the idea. You need to impress your reader by connecting sentences and impress them with the ideas that you're providing. You need a transition word to make readers understand where you're going to conclude an essay, and the most commons are in conclusion, to sum up, and as previously stated. But this is like the typical words. So try to don't use them because, well, let's face it, you don't want to drive me nuts. So try to use synonymous for these phrases and try to don't be so cleared up on the conclusion. If you see the example here, none of those words are used. So try to follow more this example and try to avoid these sentences that you have here as an example, okay? You can use so as a connective word, or you can visit the web page of the University of Richmond's, the Writing Center. It's really great and has a lot of different tips on how to make your conclusion sentence, okay? I will leave you the link attached so you can go check it out. These are some things that you need to remember when you're writing a conclusion paragraph, okay? Use your introductory paragraph as a guide, okay? Sorry. You can start with, there are 3 classes at school that I absolutely can't wait to go to every day. And in your conclusion, you can rephrase this. You can name the 3 classes that you can wait to go to, okay? In a longer paper, a good place to start is by looking at what each paragraph was about, okay? For example, if you're writing a paper about zoo animals, each paragraph would probably be about one particular animal. So in your conclusion, you could briefly mention each of those animals again, okay? Zoo animals like polar bears, lions, and giraffe are amazing creatures. Leave your readers with something to think about. Like I said, some reflective sentence could be a really way to close up an essay. Suggest that they learn more with a sentence like, we have a lot to learn about global warming. You can also give them something to do after reading your paper. It's easy to make your own popsicles. Grab some orange juice and give it a try. You will leave them with the eager to know more about what you're treating in your essay. Keep in mind the following things that you shouldn't do when writing a conclusion. Don't introduce new information. Don't share your personal thoughts unless you're writing it in first person. So check on the type of essays when you're doing your conclusion. Don't restate all of the little details that you have in your essay. Don't just restate the thesis, okay? Give people something more to think about. Don't write loosey words in the conclusion, okay? Use consciously your language. As usual, I'm going to give you a couple of different links so you can go deeper on this subject and get a little bit more tools and tips on how to write great conclusions. So the first one is the Writing Center of the Harvard University. The second one is the Writing Center of the University of Carolina. These are great, as the Richmond University. These are great writing centers where you can find tools, tips, and tricks for every part of your essays. So please check them out. And I will leave you a couple of videos to illustrate better what we talk about. How to write an essay, the conclusion paragraph, and learn to write a conclusion in under 5 minutes, okay? These are really easy, short videos, really quick to digest, and with a lot of information that it will be really good for you. Remember that if you have any questions, you can contact me through the Hangouts application, you can leave me a comment on the Google Classroom, or you can send me an email. See you in the next class, guys. Bye.